you needed to experience these things. And so they did happen for a reason, for you to figure out what works for you, for you to be nimble enough and to be, smart enough to figure out, you know what, I need to change the course of action because this is not working out for me, or I need to really slow this down because I feel like I don't know the other person, or I need to really invest my time and be patient so that I can delve deep and really master something. So there was a lot of like periods in time within the past 5 years where you had warning signs, where you were given, advice, and to either change a course of action or to do something a specific way. And I feel that the people that really cared about you, they truly know you inside and out. They know how stubborn you can be. And I feel like the people that really cared about you, they did not want to infringe upon your free will. They didn't want to impose their ideas and whatever they thought you should do. They cared about you enough to kind of like, take a loving detachment stance and not give you the information that they think you should know. And I feel like a lot of it was, this is your journey. They didn't want to interfere. And I also felt like you were not asking the right people for advice, for their honest assessment. And I also feel like no matter what and who is telling you the information, you wanted to figure out and you wanted to experience things. So the advice, the guidance, the, whatever they wanted to say, it would have fallen on deaf ears. Okay. So what I'm saying here is, don't beat yourself over this, because this is something that you need to experience. This is something that you needed to live. And this is something that you needed to, figure out for yourself. Now, we are emerging into, the Saturn transit. And Saturn just left the previous sign, which is Capricorn, your neighbors, and Saturn is moving into the sign of Aquarius, and it's going to be there for the next 3 years, okay, 2.5, 3 years. And the month of March and April, we're going to be feeling this heaviness. And the heaviness is about, really thinking about these important decisions in our lives. Like, I'm talking big, large, long-term affecting important decisions, okay? It's not just what am I going to eat for lunch tomorrow. These are like long-term planning that we need to do. Where do we want to be for the next 5 years? Where do we want to live? Who do we want to be with? What career track are we going to pursue? So these are like big, important life decisions that are kind of laid out in front of you. And you need to know where you have been and what you've learned from them so that you can figure out where you want to go. And so this sense of nostalgia, this sense of like, walking down memory lane, thinking about the past, as well as thinking about, what we did in the past, how that transpired, how that played out, whether or not it was the right thing to do. All of these important decisions or all of these important reflections are required, because you're now in a new phase and you really need to be more serious about the decisions that you make moving into the future, because they have long-term ramifications in your life. And I feel like they are going to weigh heavily in either making your future incredibly prosperous and happy, or they might, create a lot of obstacles in your life. So this is an important month, because this whole process about reflecting on the past, thinking about things that transpired in the past, how we could have done things differently, how we could have, not idealized people and situations, and how we could be a little bit better, like a little bit more discerning about what and who is right for us and what we should need to pursue in order to be happy. So I definitely feel there is a desire from your end about, truly seeking emotionally stable people. Okay, you're naturally drawn to people who are a little bit more on the eccentric end, who are a little bit weird and quirky and unique. but these people might not entirely be stable. And I feel like they're exciting, but they have never filled your emotional needs. And so you're aiming for more harmony, for more of an emotional connection, for that sense of emotional connectedness in your surrounding and in the people that you interact with. And I feel like, it's more about quality over quantity. You're no longer bouncing around trying to, have myriads of partners and trying to figure out where you stand and what works for you. You're done with the experimentation. You know exactly who you want to be with, and you know exactly what you're seeking in a relationship partner. So once you are aware of what you really want, that's when the partner shows up, okay? So I feel like in this phase in your life, and especially for the next cycle of your life, you're seeking more emotional fulfillment, and you want a partner that is your equal, that is your match, that will reciprocate in an emotional way, that will be emotionally available to you, that will be dependable, and that will kind of like be able to know what you need without you having to express yourself. So I feel like you're no longer conflicted about this. Okay. The other thing that is coming through as well is I feel like for many of you, you're thinking heavily about your finances. Okay. So this is here, the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles is all about building a foundation. It's about clinging on to, the earthly possessions so that we can figure out and have a strategy and have a game plan as to how we can make our money work for us. Money has been kind of like slipping your fingers. It's like grasping at sand, and the grains of sand just slip through the cracks in your hands. Okay. So I have two cards here that indicates, financial fluctuation, things coming and going. And potentially for many of you, it's like you're scattering your energy. You're doing a lot of different projects, but I feel like these projects were not yielding whatever it was that you were expecting. And then for others of you, I see like a lot of overspending, a lot of unintended expenditures, a lot of like you were counting on having this much money, but then something happened and then you're paid less, or you thought this amount would come in, but for whatever reason, a smaller amount came in or none at all. So I feel like there's a lot of financial reassessment here and a lot of financial planning that needs to happen for the next phase in your life, because I feel like for many of you, this is important. For many of you, this is like, you have several things and responsibilities, real life responsibilities to take care of. And so you need to kind of like sit down with, your Excel spreadsheet, your ledger, your bank accounts, your statements to figure out how much it is that you're really bringing home and how much you're spending so that you can kind of like, balance out the checkbook. Okay. So I do feel a lot more thinking and your mind is crunching numbers as it relates to your financial resources, because you understand how important that is. Okay. And then I also feel as well, so these two cards are related. We have here the Four of Pentacles and the High Priestess. And what I'm getting here is there is a situation where you're wanting a specific outcome very, very, very badly. Okay. Look at how tightly she's holding on to that lobster to her chest. This is like a very strong emotional decision that you are making. And Aquarius, you are not a very emotional sign. You are a very rational sign. You think with your head and you don't think with your heart. But I feel like there is a situation here. And I feel like for many of you, it is in regards to a relationship partner. Okay. Appearing with the Two of Cups. It is an emotional connection that you feel is your kindred, your one and only. This is the person that you feel a very strong magnetic attraction and pull and a soul connection with. And I feel for many of you, you have a really hard time letting it go. It's still very much, this person is still very much in your thoughts, in your mind, in your heart. And I feel like the feelings associated with this person, it can feel very heavy. It can feel a little bit tragic. It can feel a little bit sad. Okay. It's a love connection. Two of Cups, High Priestess is a love connection. And I do sense like, you're having trouble letting it go. You're having trouble thinking. It's like in your mind, the connection is very strong, right? And you're just like, if I feel this way, then why isn't, why aren't the results showing in the real world? If my emotions tell me that this is the one, why isn't the reality reflecting that? Why aren't they aware of that? Why aren't circumstances conspiring to bring us together? And so I feel like this is an emotional connection that can bring with it like prickly thorns. It can be a little bit heavy. It can feel a little bit tragic. I'm getting tragedy for some reason. And I feel like, it's a situation where there might be third parties involved, for example, where the other person might already be in a relationship. Or, if you're in a relationship and you're attracted to somebody outside of that relationship, then I feel like there's some kind of like a star-crossed romance or a star-crossed lovers where your paths are not really aligned in a way that will allow the relationship to kind of like work naturally. I also feel like one of the reasons why you are feeling this heavy, really heavy weight in your heart is energetically, the other person is not willing to let you go. Okay. Four of Pentacles. This is the miser. This is clinging on to a situation. And I feel like this is an emotional, spiritual connection where the other person is also not able to let you go. So they're feeling the same way that you are feeling. They're feeling this weight on their heart. They're feeling the restrictions of their external environment. Either their culture, their belief system, their family, their obligations, their financial resources, whatever it is, there's a lot of things weighing on them. It's like creating these shackles, all right? These gold shackles, earthly possessions, wealth, money, power, prestige, whatever it is. It's disallowing them from breaking free from these shackles to come towards you. And so I'm sensing that's why it's a little bit tragic, because these are earthly responsibilities that the other person cannot get right, cannot extract themselves from in order to be with you. And so you don't really have a choice here but to, try to move from it. And you're wondering, why is it so hard? Why am I having so much difficulty moving away from this? And it's because energetically, they're clinging on to you. They're clinging on to this connection. And then I'm also feeling as well, for many of you, somebody really wants to be with you, and yet they're not able to unshackle themselves from these restrictions in order to move towards you. They really want to, Aquarius. I feel that they really want to. They recognize that this is a true, real love connection here. Two of Cups is a really big deal when it comes to love and relationship, because it is about compatibility. It's about, not only loving another person, but really liking the other person, really enjoying their company, really wanting the best for them, really like, when you're with the other person, the two of you feel very calm and very at peace. Okay. It's it's not something that you encounter in every person. It indicates to me kind of like a soul connection, a soul contract, or even a person that you might have had many different reincarnations in the past. And so you feel comfortable and familiar when you're around each other. It's like your soul recognizes each other. And it feels very at peace. And I feel like you've never felt this sense of peace with another person. And there's something here where the other person really does want to come towards you. And I feel like they have restrictions that are shackling them, and they're not able to break away from it in order to be with you. And a lot of it is finance related. I feel like they're very concerned about their finances. They're very concerned about what they have and what they don't. And they're very concerned about, it's like somebody who's really afraid of having the rug ripped out from under them. And let's just be honest, Aquarius, you're very unpredictable. Okay. And so I feel like they're looking at you and they still think of, like, deep down, you're a fixed sign. You are very reliable, but they also see that lightning streak in you where it can be really abrupt and it can be very difficult to understand. It can come out of the blue and it can be very unpredictable. And so they're not really sure which Aquarius they're going to get. They're not really sure, at the end of the day, am I getting the stable Aquarius or the one that is unpredictable? And so I feel like, there are a lot of financial maneuvering and decisions that they have to make in order to be with you. And I feel like they want to, but there's a lot of fear associated with it, okay? Because the Four of Pentacles, once again, this is a card about self-protection, okay? Not letting people in, and especially hanging on very, very tightly to our earthly possessions. And out of fear, fear of losing it all, out of lack of uncertainty is what I'm feeling. And I do sense for many of you, if you are, thinking about like your financial future, I do sense that you are going to be dipping into different projects, having a main job and a side gig, or having multiple side gigs in order to piece together a 9-to-5 job or to piece together enough money. So I do feel that the financial situation, it is going to alleviate if you are concerned about that. Okay. So at the end of the reading, what we have here is the Judgment card and the Two of Pentacles. I feel like for many of you, where you are right now financially, it's stable and it's pretty good, okay, with the Two of Pentacles here. But there might be something that is calling out to you, that is really speaking out to you, and that is kind of like luring you in, okay? So I feel like you're trying to figure out, do I take this one or do I take the other one? Do I stay here with this job or do I take something else? And there is going to be news and communication and messages coming through as it relates to a major financial decision. It could be work related. It could be job related. It could be, a new career path even for many of you. So I feel like you're really listening to your intuition. And many of you, I feel, are even willing to take a major salary cut in order to do something that makes you happier. Many of you are even willing to, relocate in order to do something that makes you a lot more emotionally fulfilled. Many of you are no longer chasing that financial stability if your heart is not in it. And then I also feel for many of you, you're also on the opposite end of the spectrum where you're just like, I don't care about the ideals anymore. I need to really buckle down and get serious about my financial future. So that means you might even take a job, even if you're not 100% happy with it. So I feel like, you both are like, for a lot of Aquarius, you might be on opposite ends of the spectrum where you're a lot more concerned about money and you're no longer idealistic. I don't want to take these, feel good jobs if they're not bringing me that financial stability. And so you might compromise or sacrifice the emotional fulfillment doing a job that you love for doing something that will bring a lot more financial resources. Okay. So I definitely feel like there is a turnaround here in the ways in which you're looking at life. And a lot of it it's like realization and epiphanies and awakening and being shown, things from the past wherein you start to understand the past and you started to understand the decisions and the choices that you've made in the past. And coming into present day, you're coming to terms with how those decisions have panned out for you, whether or not they worked, whether or not you should replicate those decisions, whether or not you need to change your strategy, or whether or not, those decisions did not work and why they did not work. A lot of it, I feel, is kind of like this impulsive jump in, ask questions later. and you might have realized that it might not have worked out for you. And then I also feel there are instances where you went on blind faith. You listened to your heart and things worked out really well. And you're starting to realize that, you know, that worked out well for me because I listened to my higher self. Okay. So I feel like there's a lot of awakening, awareness, reflection, and just, coming to this state of peace about your life. Okay, so once again, let me talk a little bit about that lotus flower, because I feel like that's what the star is really about. It's about renewal, it's about healing, it's about coming into this state of calmness where you're recognizing your true path, you're recognizing who is dotted along the way in your path in life, and who is kind of like helping you along the way, and who's meant for you to bring forward with into your future, as well as what job, what career, what mindset, what decisions are meant to be carried on with into the future. Okay.